Hi guys, this is a little editorial and kind of a rant video. Not a nasty rant video, but it's more of just reminding you guys about something. So I went to Leicester Pride this year and it was fantastic. I had a great time, and a lot of my friends went and we had a fantastic time. It was a nice day just to relax and be ourselves. But after Leicester Pride I got a load of negative comments on my newsfeed from Facebook and other social media sites saying that a lot of people just weren't happy with Pride and they didn't see what the point of Pride was. Like, a comment that really annoyed me from someone was, "You guys have got gay marriage now, why bother with Pride anymore? You've got what you need." So this is just a little video just to remind people why Pride is still important, in my opinion. Basics. Let's start off with the basic timeline for LGBT issues in this country, in England, or in places near England, for example. Now, with the recent success of gay marriage, some people have forgotten how long it took for us to get our basic human rights in England and in this country. For example, in Scotland, it wasn't legalised until 1989. The decriminalisation of some people, of a group of people who just love people in a slightly different way than they do, and it was still considered a mental disorder in the 1990s by the World Health Organization, and they didn't change the definition until there was an extensive study into sexuality. In a way, I'm kind of grateful for some stigmas because it allowed research to be done, and its scientific endeavour obviously proves and changes people's ideas all the time. But it's still annoying how people think that Pride isn't important when the first Leicester Pride was in 2001. We've only had it for 13 years. That's not a very long time to celebrate, until now, a lifelong of discrimination and negative stereotypes and stigmas based against people. It's not something that you can just brush under the carpet. Centuries and years worth of criminalisation, marginalisation, when in fact at the birthplace of its origin in Greece it was accepted because people understood it was completely natural. But then there was this sort of devolution in logic, and people began thinking, well, it's slightly different to us, so maybe we should discriminate against them. I don't want to bash religion too much in this video, but approximately 6 million people in the world are Muslim, and 5,500,000 people are strong Catholic or Christian denominatory based. So if you add that number together, that many people in the world are taught in their religion that being gay is immoral. So whether they are passive or not, whether they agree strongly with that view or not, it's still in the back of their mind, it's still taught as a belief, it's still a mindset of that amount of people. We have to change that mindset, or we have to accept that X amount of people will just never like us for who we are. How is Pride not important? The word gay originated to describe someone happy or something odd or queer. That's so gay. For example, was to say either that's so queer or that's so amusing. For example, the 1960s film The Gay Divorce, about a very happy very happy divorce settlement. The paradigm shift of the word gay, actually referring to homosexuals, only happened very recently. Only happened really in the 70s to 80s, or late 60s if you want to be fair. But for example, it's not that's a bad thing. I mean, word origins and word definitions change all the time, and I took language for a year, I understand that, but in the emergence of social media, gay has been used as a derogatory term. For example, when you hear a younger person say, "That's so gay," they don't mean that's so happy, that's so queer, or that's so homosexual. They mean that's so bad. The denomination of something being gay as bad shows that there's a peddling forefront in imagination, or in a mindset that someone would think that being gay is wrong. That's something that is being taught to a certain generation of people, and to identify the cause we need to identify, well, why are you saying this in that way? And with a rise of culture and troll culture, the word faggot has reappeared. It pretty much died at the end of the in my opinion, the word faggot kind of resurfaced. I didn't really hear anyone using it until everyone properly got into Web 2.0. It's not like it's everyone was just throwing about the word faggot. It was a dirty word. No one wanted to use it. Now it's a playground insult. The fact that you have people as young as 6 calling other people as young as 5 or 4 faggots, it's not a positive mindset. People say, well, we have equality in Europe, we have equality in the UK. Why do we still need to bother with universal pride? Have you not read the stories coming from Russia, Uganda, Nigeria, Malawi? I could name hundreds of well, not hundreds, but I could name many a place in Africa. There was a news story just last week that the President Mugabe peddled untrue values about the Ebola outbreak, saying that they blamed it on LGBT people, saying that we have to atone for our sins, and that the reason that this is happening to us is because it's we have injustice against God with a tolerance on homosexuals. So some genuine people are, instead of getting medical treatment for Ebola, in fact spreading it to other people. They are sitting in churches bleeding and praying to God. Bleeding. They're bleeding out on the church, and they have someone sitting next to them in a pew, and they're letting them get infected with Ebola. It's foul. Because obviously there's a lot of untrue rumours about Ebola anyway, but that's another rant for another day. I mean, Stephen Fry stated in his groundbreaking documentary Out There about LGBT people that I can't remember the exact quote, but he said, "It's astonishing that after so many years of progression we still struggle with the basic standard of how to love." And I mean, he wasn't specifically talking about England, was he? He said, one of the things he said as well was that in terms of law, we're pretty much there in this country, but the fact that we can still deny asylum to people fleeing the country because they're gay, or we have to ask people to prove that they are gay in order to seek asylum, is shocking, and that is a perversity on our justice system, and I think that is something that we need to fix. And hopefully Pride can show people, yes, we do need to fix that. We haven't quite finished with total equality in this country, because we haven't. You cannot say that pride is now a defunct value if there are still people in the world getting beheaded or killed or having lifelong imprisonments for being who they are, for loving. I found out from one of my friends, Kim. She said to me that in Africa, if you are found, in certain areas of Africa, if you are found abating, or if you're the parent of a gay individual and you knew that they were gay and you didn't turn them into the police, you could face a 20-year prison sentence. That's life for some people. People have killed people and been put away for less. I find that appalling, that the crime that they have is falling in love with somebody. Because the astonishing thing about these governments and about this mindset, it is obsessed with sex. Catholics talk about bum rape in their, as they call it, in their sermons. In Africa, there's a preacher, he teaches that gay people terrorise the anus, as he says, and it's just disgusting, because I swear, when I'm talking about my girlfriend and I'm talking to the imaginary space next to me, or someone's talking to me about their boyfriend, we're not just talking about sexual intercourse, we're not just talking about sexual acts either, we're talking about love. That's what we want. Pride, you don't really think about sex much unless you're there to get laid, which actually quite a small percentage of people are, to be honest. It's more about love and finding someone who's just right for you, and who can understand you and who's kind to you. It's quite simple, really. Just think about your straight relationship and think, well, that's what this person wants, who happens to want it with another woman or with another man. Sexuality is not concrete. That's the main thing I want to get across here. Sexuality is not a concrete structure, otherwise it would have been set in one way. If we have the ability to be LGBTI+, we have the ability to love in slightly different ways. We're not focusing on sexual gratification, we're focusing on living our lives without discrimination. We're focusing on being able to hold the hand of our partner without having people stare at us. It's quite simple, really. And you could say that places, well, we're sophisticated now, but in America, despite efforts from the American Psychological Society, the American Psychiatric Society, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy, the American Counselling Association, the American Medical Association, along with many other reputable health organisations, proving that there is clear evidence that reparative therapy / gay conversion therapy does not work, and that it's harmful to LGBT people, the practice is still used and still recommended to devout Christian families or religious families. They are so desperate. They don't want this shame that their child is gay or LGBT, that they would go to this conversion. And if you're not familiar with what gay conversion therapy is, I'll tell you what it is now. Basically, you will be sitting in front of a counsellor, and a counsellor will ask you what type of person you're interested in, and he will ask for every sordid detail of your sexual experiences. He will say, well, what quality in that person did you wish that you had? What internal fault does that say about you? As if you are obviously faulted. You must be faulted if you're turning towards this sort of lifestyle. And what people who support gay conversion therapy even don't say that it works very often. What they usually say is a third. A third significant dramatic change, a third no change, a third slight change. So 2/3 have some slight change, but there is a third, which is a massive percentage of people who have absolutely no change whatsoever. That isn't a theory that I would credit. And we have all of these people saying, I don't support this therapy. I don't think it's safe. I don't think it's effective. It's boggling that these people can put faith into these methodologies when there is so much evidence supporting the fact that they do not work. You can't change what you are, even though people like to say that they can. You are comparing us to animals. We are civilised in the UK, the France, the rest of Europe. We are not living in a medieval mindset. Yeah? Well then why is it still illegal for LGBT people to adopt in 85% of Europe? We have films such as Pride coming out about the LGBT people who helped the mining industry, riot against Thatcher. And we have so much awareness that we seem to go the other way, like in Brazil. This story really hurts me. In 2009, there was a study on homicide rate, and there isn't any new evidence of research. There isn't. I couldn't find another study. If you guys find it, that's amazing. But the homicide rate, from what I researched from 2009, stands at about 5.4 per 100,000 people in Brazil are LGBT who are killed. That is a very large percentage if you think about it, purely for the fact that they're gay. And because of Brazil you can adopt. It's very Brazil was very homophobic and anti-gay, but they in the space of 20 years they had full legal equality, and that was brilliant. But that resulted in backlash from militant homophobic Brazilians or just people of the time, and they conducted something. I don't know if I can say this word. It's gross. It's vile, but it's been described as a homocost. Oh, it gets me so angry. A homocost, really? I don't even care if that's like a sort of legal or analytic term. It's disgusting. The Holocaust did kill gay people, remember? It killed anybody who didn't stand up to the Aryan race's idea of perfection. Homosexuals were involved in that. So a Holocaust specifically for gay people, it's essentially saying wipe them out. No, they say that we have total equality. Well, then, when sexual reassignment surgeries are actually denied to some people who seek them because they can't afford it, or their medical bills aren't provided, or it's not covered by the NHS, because I've heard stories that some reassignment surgeries are considered cosmetic. So, for example, the actual breast implantation upon a male to female have been denied because it's a cosmetic surgery. It's not just about looking like a woman. Do they not understand that? It's about feeling comfortable in your own body. There's this brilliant poet on Button Poetry. It's a really good site, and she talks about gender is so complex. It's not just man, woman. Have you heard of gender fluidity? Have you heard of androgyny? It's not just you are man, he is woman, Tarzan Jane. And sexual reassignment is not about looking like a woman or feeling like a man or feeling like a woman or looking like a man. It is about accomplishing an ideal that makes that person feel like they're not living within an alien body every day. It's not that they were born in the wrong body, it's that their own perception and other people's perception about their body is incorrect. What they see in the mirror is not what they see inside. And imagine how disgusting that must feel. The person in the poetry said, imagine if you had a penis swinging from your elbow. People want to talk to you about your imaginary penis. And it just highlights I have such respect for transgender people, but the amount of struggle that they have to go through, and gender fluidity, androgyny, people with gender issues, I feel, are the least respected in the community. Lesbian and gay people, we're pretty much there in the sense of publicity. We still obviously get hate crime. We're never going to be 100% there. I never think that we're ever going to be 100% equal, but we're more recognised than bisexual, transgender, gender fluid, androgynous people. They're still very far back in the race of total rights and equality, and it's never going to work if, as well, there is hatred within the LGBT community. We're a community of people that are meant to love and accept everyone for exactly who they are. And when I hear bi-hate, when I hear hatred against bisexual people within the gay community, because there is a lot of it, let's be honest with ourselves, it's wrong. It is We need each other more than we can comprehend. We need to be able to be out and proud within our own community. If we have drag queens, bless their hearts, talking about how bisexualism isn't real, or how dirty, disgusting lesbians shouldn't kiss in front of them because it's abhorrent. It's abhorrent. Transgender people, a comment that I've heard, aren't actually meant to be within the community because they're just changing their gender to be straight. Very stupid misconceptions within our own community that we are peddling. We are peddling these conceptions, and we can have people who are ignorant say, you see, that's why I don't like gays. When you have role models for the younger generation, such as Vine famous celebrities like, is it Matt Greer or Nat Greer, who he released, I'll show you the video, he released this misconception about AIDS research. He shouts the word fag as if he's proud of it, and this is the example that we are setting our children, people who follow him, people who appreciate his values. This is the mindset we openly teach our younger generation and ignore the consequence. It starts with humour. Hatred against gay people starts with humour. It starts with jokes. It starts with bathroom talk about gay people. It starts as banter between friends. Then it goes to disgust. When they see a gay people in public, they talk about that how disgusting they are. Then it goes to hate crime. Then it goes to violence. And then some poor person like, I don't know, Matthew Shepard is tied to a post and beaten until they die. I hate to be serious so much, but it's a real issue. It's something that's happening within this country. It's the silent prejudice and the silent discrimination that we need to be worried about. It's not if a man, this is also awful, but if a guy says, oh, you're not allowed in here because you're gay, that's terrible and we need to sort that. But that doesn't happen because that is open and people say, oh, I don't like that. But if gays were in my family, then the situation changes. It's the behind the curtain aspect of prejudice. I think Katz, a psychologist, said something called the behind the blinds theory, where once you peer into a person's psyche, they're much more racist / homophobic than they appear to be. It's a brilliant study, you should check it out. I can understand why some people felt like this today, because the amount of it seemed to be about the alcohol. Pride isn't about alcohol, no matter how many people try and make it appear that way. Pride is about remembering those we've lost. Matthew Shepard, Joan Rivers as of late, who was a big advocate for the LGBT community, Stephen Gately, Jeffrey F. Bowers, he was the inspiration for the film Philadelphia, where just because he was a gay man who had AIDS, his company fired him, and he was able to get some compensation. It remembers every person we lost in Stonewall. It remembers everyone who's been wrongfully imprisoned for either fighting, advocating, or being gay, or LGBT. It remembers every teen who is killed, or tries to kill themselves for just being who they are. It remembers the people who are homeless because they're LGBT. It remembers people who are not receiving adequate treatment for AIDS because they're LGBT. It remembers the war on LGBT people with the discovery of HIV, that it was the gay plague. It remembers stars like Alan Turing, Patrick Harris, DeGeneres, and many other LGBT defining people who have made great successes out of their lives despite the stigma, and they're examples that we can grab younger members of the LGBT community and say, hey, you may feel bad about your status, but there were some great people, some amazing people who did some great work, and they're just like you. You don't have to worry. It remembers a 13-year-old girl who is so deeply religious, it's the one thing that defines her life. that she believes in God so much that he can change her. And when she goes to her local church and she asks her preachers for help, they kick her out of the church, out of the choir, and say, "You're not allowed in here, we don't want your kind." Pride raises money for charity. Manchester Pride has so far raised £1.1 million since 2003 in just Manchester alone for LGBT issues. Think of Pride around the world and how much money that's raising. Pride isn't essential, not for just one day, for just a day where we carry a big rainbow flag. It's not just that. We need inner pride every day. We need pride every day just to be able to walk out of our rooms every morning and know that people are going to be staring, making comments, and we don't care because we look fabulous. And we have some great people who can support us. We have some amazing friends, for the lucky ones, girlfriends, boyfriends, partners. And yes, we can marry now. Fantastic. But I'm not going to be happy until I can openly kiss my girlfriend I can openly kiss my girlfriend, my imaginary girlfriend, in public and have no one bat an eyelid. And that's what you could do at Pride. Every waking moment is a battle. And yes, I'm being melodramatic because you have to be. With the rise in fundamentalism and radicalism, I'm scared. Pride says, stop being scared and put on more lipstick. Pride reinforces when I am doubting myself on days that you're not abnormal. You were born this way. Pride makes people who, when your mum finds you cutting and she asks you what you're doing, you just said, "I don't know," because you're too afraid to tell her that you're gay. When even all your sisters knows and you don't. To have a day surrounded, to have a lifetime surrounded by people who understand, who know. To have a moment when you're not being asked questions, so who's the man or who's the woman? Who's the top and bottom? What's it like being gay? I don't know, what's it like breathing? So yes, Pride is still very important. And I will take it as a personal offence to anybody who says it isn't. Sorry to be so upset and down, but it's something that means a lot to me. If I didn't have equality here, I'd be dead. I'd have killed myself. To have my dad say, "Are you seeing anyone?" and when I say no, he says, "Well, when you do, I'll have to meet her." His acceptance of meeting a woman, you have no idea how good that feels. Pride does.
We painted the picture you want, I wanted it too. But now there's something that I would like you to do.